I support the bill wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Now the Minister.
Sir, I wish to thank all the honorable members, first for all the interventions, but also for universally and unanimously supporting the bill. So it is true that it's a very historical development in which a ratification which had already taken place is now given effect in the form of legislation. So what had already been done at the executive level is now also meeting an approval at the legislative level also. And therefore, I really wish to thank all the members of the House, as well as I consider myself very fortunate to be participating in this historical development. So it is true that this bill could have been legislated upon. This ratification could have been converted into a legislation quite some time back. But for some reason or the other, it was delayed. But sir, it is wrong to infer that it is now taking place at a time when our Honorable Prime Minister is supposed to be visiting the United States. Sir, in fact, this bill was introduced in Rajya Sabha during the budget session. It could not be passed by the Rajya Sabha, and therefore it could not be introduced in Lok Sabha. This bill was passed in Rajya Sabha during this current session, and as soon as it was passed by that House, I have introduced this bill to Lok Sabha. So I would like to assure the House that there is no other reason than to introduce this bill at this particular time than the legislative precedence, which has decided at what time the bill should be introduced in this House. Sir, I am of course thankful to Mr. Manishankar Iyer for really raising the level of this discussion to a level in which we are now legislating this bill for a reason which is really amply clear, that India believes in a process which has been followed by successive governments for a long period of time, and this bill is yet another step in the same direction. It is of course not only him but other honourable members wanted me to convey to our Honourable Prime Minister the feelings of this House about the CTBT or the NPT or the issues related to nuclear weapons. I can assure the House I would certainly do that, and I am sure the Prime Minister is already aware of your views. Maybe he is watching this debate, need not be present in the House, but he definitely would be watching this debate, and I would definitely take note of that. Sir, Mr. Banatwala has of course raised certain issues, and he has also moved some amendments. I will come to it little in a few minutes, but I also thank him for that, and so I thank Mr. Murthy and Mr. Rupchand Pal. I am going to answer a question tomorrow, which is numbered 4 on the Bhopal gas tragedy. And I can assure you that not only the government is monitoring it in the Department of Chemicals and Petrochemicals, but also there is a group of ministers which acts like a standing group which also monitors this. Of course, this does not obviate the ordeal that so many of these victims of gas tragedies had to undergo, but this is only to illustrate a point that we are also watching this as closely as possible. But of course, your sentiments, your views that you express would now help me probably to expedite this process further. I can assure you that we'll also take some immediate steps to ensure that we take some quick action on that. Mr. Vikram Dev and Mr. Singh also have supported the bill, and so is my friend from Maharashtra, Mr. Ramdas Athavale. Probably the only reason why he is also supporting besides others is that I also happen to be his fellow colleague from the state of Maharashtra. I think it's a fortunate fact that he happens to be from a state which also has supported the peace movement on time to time, and this is yet another step to prove the point that we join the national mainstream in welcoming all these initiatives of this type. Sir, Mr. Banatwala has moved some amendments, and in fact that is only to prove a point that his watchful, alert and vigilant eyes always look through what is written between the lines. But I can assure him that all his concerns have been expressed in this bill itself. I will try to explain it to you. Sir, your first amendment pertains to line 14, which says that provided that all amendments shall first be submitted to the Parliament for its advice and consent. And your apprehension is that probably Government of India would agree to something outside the parliament and the parliament may not be knowing about it. Sir, Article 15 of the convention is so clear, and a process of modification, amendment to this is so complicated, and unless it is approved unanimously by all the parties to the convention, it is not possible to bring in any amendment. And unless we really amend that convention, it is not possible that a schedule which is forming part to this bill can ever be amended. So therefore, I can assure you that there is no reason to feel that Government of India can ever do something outside the Parliament surreptitiously without the knowledge of the Parliament. Even then, I can assure the House and I can give an assurance very explicitly that whenever such amendments are made to the convention, the government will come before the Parliament at the earliest opportunity and place it before the House.
Why not incorporate that issue?
Because there is enough provision. In fact, the convention itself has been negotiated for a long period of time, and it is very unlikely. So therefore, it's basically, it's not really like to take effect. But I can assure you that if at all there is something, which will definitely bring it. Sir, your second amendment is pertaining to national authority, and you say that it should have a technical secretariat. Sir, in fact, the authority itself is going to be consisting of such persons, and the point which was also raised by Honorable Mr. Ramdas Athole is that it should consist of technical people. In fact, the whole committee itself is going to be consisting of very, very technical people. So I don't think there is really any reason to have another technical secretariat, because the committee itself is going to be consisting of technical personnel. So therefore, to have another secretariat would probably mean that we are only creating additional bureaucracy, which is avoidable. Sir, Mr. Banatwala's third point is 4A and 4B. He has proposed some amendment after line 19 to say that review general operations of the convention. Sir, I would like to draw his attention to clause 7A, 7.1 and 7.2A and B, which are very elaborate, and in fact in that, one of the functions of the national authority, inter alia, is also going to include the review of the convention itself, which is the intention of your proposed amendment. And therefore, if you read the clause 7.1a, it shall be the general duty of the national authority to fulfill on behalf of the Government of India the obligations under the convention. That itself means that you are actually reviewing the convention, because the conventions also, if you go further, it shall be incumbent on the national authority to act as national focal point for effective liaison with the organization and other state parties on matters related to the convention. And clause 7.2, interact with the organizations, monitor compliance with the provisions of the convention. It also says specifically, small b, clause 2, 7.2, it says that monitor compliance with the provisions of the convention itself. So therefore, I think this particular clause captures the point that we would like to insert as an amendment. And therefore, I feel it truly is available, there is a measure available within the proposed legislation itself. Sir, your other point, and that is a very point which is well taken. In fact, I remember the days when I used to also sit in the opposition benches and also used to want that Parliament should not be taken for granted. And I can assure you that I have not forgotten the days, and even now, though I am a minister, I continue to be the member of Parliament. And so therefore, Parliament cannot be taken for granted, and I can assure the House that under Rule Clause 56, which confers the right on the government to make laws, make rules, we will make it incumbent on the part of the government to place the report which you want it to be placed before the Parliament. It will be placed before the Parliament. I can make the rules, I can give a written, I'm making an assurance to the House, and I can assure you that whatever report will be received by the government will be placed on the table of the House as soon as it is feasible. Sir, in fact, the other point also is the point which you already, it mentions about the same thing, that is article, line 14, that is 2 and 3, the amendment that you have proposed. I think that again, I can assure you that under Rule 56, the clause 56, the rule-making authority, rule-making powers of the government will be exercised to ensure that even this will be placed before the Parliament as soon as it is possible. And sir, you also proposed amendment, the last amendment, which in fact talks about why the dates, why it is not mentioned that it is whether it's 29th April 1997. If you read, probably one gets a feeling about it when you read the first part. But sir, if you go on and you make a complete reading of clause 39A, would show that along with the words, before the commencement of this act, there is also line 32, there is also reference to, and continue to be after such amendments so engaged. That's line 37. So if you read it together, it definitely means that there is really no need to bring an amendment which you have proposed. However, I really thank Mr. Banatwala for being, as he is, so vigilant to keep tab on the government, to make sure that we draw salaries for which we really work. Thank you very much.
The question is,
explanation to ask from the Honorable Minister.
when class 5 comes, then just now. Okay?
Consideration,
Have you?
consideration stage. Thank you.